Chef Marcus Samuelsson.
Marcus Samuelsson.
Marcus Samuelsson.
5 of the very best chefs on the planet.
Culture is a massive part of building a bridge between us and them, whatever us and them is.
Award-winning chef Marcus Samuelsson says he's living the American dream.
Marcus Samuelsson, the acclaimed chef, restaurateur, and New York Times bestselling author.
He owns 13 restaurants around the world and has won 8 James Beard Awards.
Have a dream. Go out and give it a shot. You know, to run a business as a creative in New York City, it's going to throw every challenge in the world at you. Every single person that is a creator, any person that has a dream, are going to go through hardship. Why am I going through it? I'm the only one. We all go through these moments of doubt. And that moment prepared me to be ready one day in New York City. I didn't know it at the moment.
Food is one of those rare things that act as an ambassador. It creates this multi-sensory experience. Touch, smell, sight, sound, taste. It literally brings people to the table to share and to have a conversation.
I don't know anything that you really love that anyone created that wasn't hard. Anything we admire was hard. It's supposed to be hard. And I'm an example of that. So also when you get the chance to do what you love, don't complain. I'm a marathon runner. I have endurance. As long as I'm healthy and I'm passionate about food and people, I'm gonna do it at the highest level. So that's not arrogance, that's confidence. I've been an immigrant 6 times in many different countries. I always feel comfortable when I'm in a kitchen. What's my path? How do we build this? What's my path to actually get there? Because without the path, it's just a dream.
Iron Chef Marcus Samuelsson!
ሰላም መሪዎች፣ የዛሬ ፓርትነራችን ማስተር ካርድ ፋውንዴሽን ነው። ማስተር ካርድ ፋውንዴሽን ኢትዮጵያ ላይ ትልቅ ስራ እየሰራ ነው ያለው። በ2030 ወደ 10 ሚሊዮን ስራዎች እንዲፈጠሩ እንቅስቃሴ እያደረገ ያለ ፋውንዴሽን ነው። ከኛ ጋራም ይህን ስራ እየሰሩበት ያለው ምክንያት የስራ ፈጠራው ኢትዮጵያ ላይ እንዲስፋፋ፣ መሪም ብዙ ስራ ፈጠራ ላይ ብዙ ኢንፎርሜሽን በመስጠት በማስተማር ላይ ይገኛል። ከኛ ጋር አንድ ላይ ሆነው እየሰሩ ነው ያሉት። ሌላው ፓርትነሮቻችን ፊዚዮን ሪል ስቴት ናቸው። የዚህ ፕሮግራምም ተከታታይ ናቸው። አብረን ተገናኝተን ብዙ አውርተናል። የኛንም ቪዥን ሼር የሚያደርጉ ናቸው። ከእንደዚህ አይነት ሰዎች ጋር ብዙ መስራት እንፈልጋለን። አሁን ደግሞ በሀያት ላይ ያስረክቡ ያሉት አፓርትመንቶችና ቪላዎች አሉ በቅርብ የሚያስረክቡት። ስለዛ መረጃ ከፈለጋችሁ ከታች ስልካቸውን እናስቀምጣለን።
Hello everyone, this is Meri podcast. Our today's guest is Marcus Samuelsson. Marcus Samuelsson is the most celebrated chef globally. He's Ethiopian by origin. We're going to talk to him today about his, upbringing in Ethiopia, losing his mom, traveling abroad as an adopted child, and joining the cooking business, starting from France, working for 7 years without any payment, then moving to New York and making it. And we're going to cover his journey. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. My birth name is Kasahun Sigai. Yes. So I always feel when I land in Ethiopia, I think about that. And Marcus Samuelsson sounds, it's what I think about, obviously the name throughout the world. But when I'm in Ethiopia, I think about it first, that's Kasahun Sigai.
So we should call him Kasahun.
Sure.
Yeah. Welcome. I think you're known, very well known globally, but some people might not know you in Ethiopia. So who's Marcus? What does he do? Just to give a brief understanding for the people here.
Sure. Well, I am Ethiopian, and I was born a couple of hours away. In a small village in Abrakodana, close to Mekki. And, my story is like most people's life, it's layered. It's not one thing. And sometimes a horrible thing in your life can also be an opportunity to something else. As it happens, you don't think about it like that. But for me, when I was born, there was a tough tuberculosis epidemic in Ethiopia, especially on the countryside. My mother had TB, my sister and myself. And eventually our mom took us to Black Lion Hospital. She passed away. Me and my sister survived, just being young kids. Then the big question is, what do you do with these 2 kids? And there were many kids in the hospital, and here's where luck and destiny comes into the story. There was a nurse that was kind enough / broke the law, because she took us in. So I mean that she didn't do anything evil, but it was just not on the curriculum that every nurse can take 2 kids home. And I always feel gratitude towards that, because sometimes you have to do something extraordinary. And it was the right thing for her to do. She was a single mother, 3 kids of her own, and she took us in. And then eventually she arranged, so we got adopted. So in one flight, we go from living in Ethiopia, being Fantasigai, my sister's name, Kasunsigai, and one flight later, we become Marcus Samuelsson and Linda Samuelsson. So that's not a normal story in the beginning of your life, but that's our story. And, so my story, wherever I go, wherever I cook, it always starts born in Ethiopia, raised in Sweden, living in Harlem. And now I can say, come back to Ethiopia.
So you start there, but like right now, you're the most, one of the most celebrated chefs in the whole world. You are an author, writer, TV show host. What do you now? What do you do right now? Tell us about your businesses.
Well, at this very moment, we are collectively opening Marcus Addis. That is a project that we worked on for many, many years. And Maya, my wife, and I always thought about how can we give back to Ethiopia in a meaningful way of our experiences, which is always a dream, right? It doesn't have a number on it. It's something that you care about your country. What every person, your family's in the coffee business, everybody has something that they can give back to. I just came back from Mother Teresa, just like 15 minutes away from here. The nuns are giving their lives, So this act of how do you give back is something, especially when you come from a background like mine, that I always think about. So we've been asked many times to do a project in Ethiopia, but it's just never, for whatever reason, been the right time or the right project. But when we were introduced to this about 2 years ago, in the middle of COVID, we felt, why not? This is the one. Because it has the balance between tradition, present, and future. And that is my story, that is my story. We have a past that we're very proud of. You create in the present, but also something that can evolve into the future, right? So when you see the building and you see that area, you see the future. You come up to the building, you see the palace, but you also see the science museum. So that you see past, present. And that idea for me was beyond a restaurant to become a destination for Ethiopians, for visitors, for the traveling person. Now that's the project that we feel like we can contribute the most. So we have a partnership with tourism, with Chef Association. So young students, this morning we started meeting the young culinary and hospitality students. And for us to be able, through the restaurant, through Marcus Addis, create a pipeline so young culinarians can eventually get scholarship and be part of our program, 1 or 2, maybe leave to come back and share their experience. That's the pipeline of growth. So you had all the different components, a charitable, a business, but also something that we all can be proud of, not just my company. And for me, the biggest lesson is collaboration. Hold on to your dream and collaborate, because we have Hyatt to thank for this. We have so many different partners, tourism to thank for this. We have so many partners that really, personal individuals that said, every time when the project was, like any project can start, especially in COVID, there was always someone to pick it up. So I feel a lot of gratitude, and tomorrow is our official opening, but we've been open for about a month and it's gone very, very well so far.
It's a restaurant that I would say that would change the game for restaurant industry. But as a podcast, we're very curious how the process is like. So can you walk us through like
Sure.
when was the concept of the restaurant happen to opening?
Well, like I said, it was during COVID. So in the beginning, most of it was through Zoom or, because we couldn't really meet in person. We got the drawings and we were told about the project. And I said, wait a minute, this is special. Especially the area of Mexico too, and seeing the growth of Mexico, which is incredible. And for me, it's about...
So you already know it will be opened like on the highest building in the town?
It's not only the tallest building in Addis, it's the tallest building in East Africa. It's a modern building that, for me, represents the future. And that's important.
You already know that? Like, or
yeah,
you
when we
just
presented it. Yeah, absolutely. We got introduced. We're very fortunate. Every week, new people approach us about building restaurants. We say no every week until there's something that we feel has the right component. This had it. It had a give back plan. It had the opportunity to work with students. It has the opportunity to create a destination that, whether you're 7 or 75, or has no limit to it. And that's very important to be inclusive. And we have so much in Ethiopia to be proud of. And someone that lives in the diaspora, we talk about Ethiopia every day. A project for us, my company, Marcus Addis Group, to get involved, it has to be special. We built a company that we're in many countries. So if it's not special, why go through the process? For me, Ethiopia will always be special. It's something that we teach our kids. We talk a lot about it. They are Ethiopian and so on. So for me, nothing beats sharing and being in the country and meeting architects, young professionals, so they can rub shoulders with Maya and myself. But also, the project entails many aspects. Art, while we work with Addis Fine Art, clothing, so Ethiopians can see themselves. Anagatani, of course, Mafi. And Anna is somebody that I've known forever. When I came to New York, when I was your age, Anna was already established in New York City. So she's somebody that I always looked up to and her journey. So there's so many connectivity. So maybe you come to the restaurant and you're not a foodie, but maybe you love the design. Boom, there's something for you. So that it's important to create, with Ethiopian musicians and all of its totality, but it has to represent past, present, future. The mechanics of the design, obviously having Mr. Ali's vision and Hyatt's vision in terms of being able to, all the furnitures are bespoke, something that we designed. So having many believers in the project, it's key, because alone you can't do anything. Your family's been in the coffee business for a long time, but no one did it alone. You did it with many collaborators, partners, co-workers, and that's how you can grow it. And I think that's very important. When you have a name, people think with 1 or 2 people. Absolutely not. This is so many different people have to collaborate and create something special and really think about how can we build something that honors the past, is in the present, and looks forward.
Congrats on launching your restaurant. You also won Emmy Award.
Yes.
Congrats on that as well. You can tell us more about it.
Yeah, Maya and I were very surprised. Even just getting nominated to an Emmy is a journey, and then to win. And it's also emotional because we shot it, same thing, during COVID. Some of it we were shot in our home because we couldn't go to another place. Everybody had to go through many difficult things through COVID, so our journey is not special. But I think about it, how we had to sort of navigate, and we're fortunate to work with great filmmakers and to have a partner in Monogram that said, "Okay, we're going to put this out." So it was a 2 years journey between conception and to the Emmys. And I'm a chef. So Emmys was not something I ever thought about, but I'll take it. And we had joy and we celebrated. And it's something I'm very, very proud of.
Nice. What was the movie about?
It's really about, we have a restaurant in Chelsea called Havmar, which means, Hav is a Swedish word, means ocean. And Mar, of course, is a Amharic word, means honey, right? So I want to create something that both had that Ethiopian background. And it was important for me to have a name that put an Ethiopian language in the US. So Americans had to learn how to say Mar. In Mar, for American, very often it's connected to mare, from Latin to water, right? So no, and then you have to stop and say, no, Mar comes from Ethiopia. So this Sweetwater idea between ocean and Swedish. And so the story of my Mark is really the conception of the restaurant, Havmar, which we have also Ethiopian chef, Fariel. So all of that was created during COVID, where it was very challenging to be a business owner because nobody knew what would come next, safety. But it was a time where I found strength. I was first scared. What's going to happen? Didn't know anything. What's going to happen to my staff? But we started quite early, become a charity kitchen where we handed out food for about 500 people a day. It wasn't long days, it was maybe 4-hour, 5-hour work. But that back and forth gave me a purpose. I'm a chef, I can afford to do this. This gave me purpose. And through that purpose, I had a routine, take my mask on, throw my clothes in the laundry, and then time to think in the afternoon, what's going to happen? And it was through that time I started thinking about Havmar. And then I think, well, let's tell this story through a short documentary. And that's what we did. Because I knew this was a unique time. As horrible as it was a time to reflect and figure things out. And I didn't. And I felt it was interesting for the viewer to know, get close and know that we weren't sure, but we want to continue to create. So Havmar was during that time. And that's really what it is about.
It seems like during COVID, you came up with a lot of things, even though it was like as a restaurant owner to be, especially in New York, it might be a very difficult time. I was also watching your video or talking about it. So how was it like going through COVID and coming up with these new ideas and also facing all these challenges? And another question I had is, did the restaurant industry has resumed from COVID to be back to normal?
Every creative, every person had to reflect and go to the core, which is something incredible because it forces you to think, who am I? Who are we? What is family structure? What does it mean for extended family? And that reflection is not bad. And you find joy. Once you know you're going to survive, then you find joy in that, right? And COVID gave me time to think and know that I love hospitality. So I'm going to continue. But those were days where I was really thinking, are we ever going to come back? Are people ever going to go back to restaurant? Which sounds absurd maybe, but we didn't know tomorrow. And I said to myself, if we're going to come back, what are the DNAs? How do we want to come back? Well, for me, come back to New York City with a new restaurant has to have it has to be special. And what it boiled down was to the name, but also think about people of color, women of color, leadership. And that's really what we developed during that time. Sustainability, who do we buy from? So that's what Havmar's journey is really. Leadership are all held by women of color. We have an Ethiopian chef that I'm extremely proud of. And we created a stunning place. And, you know, I am a creative, so at times, at challenging times, I go back to that creativity, whether I paint, whether I design, of course, cooking, everything comes out. My best language is definitely not Amharic, it's not French, it's not German, it's not English, it's not Swedish, it's food. You see me, you ask me a question in English or Swedish, or German, I can answer it, but I can answer it better through food. Just like a musician, their best language is music, or a painter. I'm looking at this incredible piece here. Her best language is her art form.
You had a hard time early on when you moved to France and you were planning to be a chef and actually open a restaurant, and you have been told Black people don't own restaurants or in the whole of Europe. So how was your early days becoming a chef in France?
I think it prepared me for this moment, right? I think every single person that is a creator, any person that has a dream, are going to go through hardship. And at the moment when they go through it, the world seems unfair. Why am I going through it? I'm the only one. We all go through these moments of doubt. But I also knew that was not the truth. That was a limited person's view. When you say to a young person that, I mean, think about it. I worked in Culinary at that point already in Japan. I don't speak Japanese. In Switzerland, where they switched from German and French. In France, a 3-star Michelin. So for him to tell me that I couldn't do it because of my skin color, I knew I wasn't in the wrong. Even if I was half his age, I felt bad for him because he tried to give me his best advice, but it also showed me how limited his world was. And he actually didn't want me to be broken, I think. I've had the opportunity to talk to him afterwards. And as strange as it was, it came from his way of a good place of advising a young one. And I knew that was not, whatever he said is not the truth. He said to me, it's not possible. He gave me examples. Do you know any Black person in France that owns a restaurant? I said, I only been here into Paris once. I don't know. To run a business as a creative in New York City, it's going to throw every challenge in the world at you. And that moment prepared me to be ready one day in New York City. I didn't know it at the moment. But also, I can't complain. I had parents. They said, come on. So I had guidance, direct guidance within my family. I had mentors that said, hey, go to America. And my father's like, they just voted for a Black mayor. They voted for a Black mayor that one day will support a Black-owned restaurant. So I wasn't alone in my journey. And that's what I'm saying. I'm a representative. My chef journey is representative of probably 100 people that supported me. So I always, when I spoke at the school today here in Addis, I talked about find a mentor. And I explained for them thoroughly what a mentor meant. Because sometimes you can go to your family, and sometimes you have to go outside your family to get an advice that is maybe more objective because your family love on you too much, maybe. And I was fortunate to have both. Many people don't have the support in my field. None of my family had become a professional chef. So they didn't really know what the business was, but they had guidance to tell, go to America. And I saved up my money that I had. And at that point, I didn't have a lot of money because I worked many years for free. So I had 300 US. I don't know how much that is in beer, but that's what I had. But I had roommates. So I had actually a massage bed to sleep on. One of the students, he was a massage student, so I slept on a massage bed. I had 4 friends because we were roommates, and I had a job. So for me, I felt very successful. And if you ask me the measurement of happiness, I was super happy. And that's where my New York story started.
It must be hard for you. Like, I have watched a few chef movies, one of the best movies. And I think it's one of the most difficult job. The chefs are really on the
junior chefs.
Yeah. So, it's quite tough. And to endure that and then stay that and, make it happen on that scale, like, takes a lot of endurance and all the things that we don't know. So what kept you going besides the support from your family? People also can get the support from their family, and a lot of people will mostly live there. And I think you're telling a story who hurted himself, like he cut his finger or something like that. So people do a lot of crazy stuff or they quit. So what kept you going?
It's very simple. The love of cooking, the passion for cooking, but also, you You know this. Anyone who listens knows this. Drive 20 minutes outside Addis. You're going to see hard work. You're going to see people running for water, getting this. That, for me, is the true inspiration. I was also that person. I have family from that person, from that experience. All Ethiopian does. It's nothing to be ashamed of, something to be proud of. So I know, end of the day, I'm a marathon runner. I have endurance. And as long as I'm healthy and I'm passionate about food and people, I'm going to do it at the highest level. So that's not arrogance, that's confidence. So I come from this confidence. I know that I can contribute. And knowing this gives me confidence in any situation. And that doesn't mean that everything goes well, but I enters my space with that level of confidence. So the hut that I was born in has always been the basic of my foundation in terms of inspiration. And it's not something I talk about, it's something I live. So people ask me, are you tired? Was it hard? I don't know anything that you really love that anyone created that wasn't hard. I'm sure creating the churches in Lalibela was hard. Anything we admire was hard. Anything we love, I'm sure anything, any album, whatever it is we look up to, it's supposed to be hard. And I'm an example of that. So also when you get the chance to do what you love, don't complain. You're so privileged. I worked with something that is my hobby, that I'm able to work in 10 countries. It is hard, but it's also my responsibility. And if I don't like it, I can quit tomorrow. That's privilege, the highest level of privilege. So for me, you have to acknowledge your privilege and the fact that I'm healthy. Nobody choose not to be healthy. So I feel every day I'm dealing with you guys or I'm dealing with a new challenge. For me, it's a privilege. It's hard to get everything in. That could be complicated and stuff like that. But to be able to create food at a high level in Addis is a dream to me. It does not mean it's not going to come with obstacles or challenges. But hey, let's deal with them. It's okay. I can take it.
So why did you pick New York, and how's your journey on owning the restaurant?
The blessings of being Black is multifaceted. I think my father was really the one that pushed me towards New York because he knew the history of Black excellence was in New York through the stories of Harlem, through the great writers of James Baldwin or Maya Angelou, through the films. So it was a connective tissue that he knew that Black excellence existed. He also knew that, of course, that I could speak English, something he trained me on, not only him, my mom. We were trained early on to learn English at a very high level. We had to. So he always prepped me towards that. Not necessarily New York then, but he's like, go to the US, go to New York. And once I arrived in New York, I knew it was everything for me. And, I grew up in a time where hip hop was new and, a lot of the artists came from New York, and I just felt there was such an excited energy, right? There was art, there was music, there was food. It's New York City. You met every person in the world, from Chinatown to Ethiopian community. So it was a lot of things that made it a metropolis and a cosmopolitan city that I can learn, I can add value, I belong. And it was calm for me in New York. It sounds weird to say New York was calm, but in New York, being Black, I was around other Black professionals. Anywhere I went in Europe, I was always the only one. And the starting point of the conversation was always about my Blackness. And as a professional, I just wanted to move forward, That's not my core skill set. Being Black was not my core skill set. Cooking was my core skill set. And sometimes you could never get out of this conversation. And I was like, I'm here for the food. We can share as Black people, we can share as Ethiopian, but it's not the only thing we can share. If you and I love music and art and you guys love somebody else, you share that and we share this. we can have different tastes. It's okay, you know?
So when you go into New York, I think we're learning about you. We're looking at, how frugal you are. You save a lot of money. And, you set goals. Can you tell us the impact of those things, those qualities on you to become a successful entrepreneur?
When I left Europe, I worked in the highest level of restaurant, 3-star Michelin. So I knew at a very complex, French was not my first language. So I knew this is the level. It's like you're a dancer or you're a tennis player or something. This is the level we exist. Now, how do I create the cuisine I want to create? And how do I create a platform, right? So I did not have the money in the beginning. So eventually I became a part owner, small part owner, but I could create my own voice in terms of the kitchen. And then from that, I still lived with my roommates. Well, they were my friends. So, and I was lucky enough to save some coin. And from that, eventually I can build. Because, the goal was not to buy an expensive car. That was not my goal. Or my goal was to build towards my own company in hospitality. So again, once you are clear on your goal, and everybody has different goals. So for me, I think also it was helped I was an immigrant. I think as immigrants, we are so prepared to work hard. We're open to the new country, whatever that new country is. And we're also excited because we don't fully understand the society in the place we're living. And for me, it was curious. Oh, that's how that works? Oh, that America I was living was obviously not the same as the America I've seen in images and movies. I was living everyday American life now, New York life. And I liked it better. It's better than the movies. It's harder than the movies, but it's also better.
It's harder than the movie, for sure.
Yeah.
So you saved up, you started your business with a partner and the money wasn't enough. So every entrepreneur goes through that, planning from financial wise, from time wise. So the money wasn't enough. How did you manage to go through that?
Well, I think, again, the journey of my first 10 years in New York, I feel a lot of gratitude because it preps your life of an entrepreneur is rarely you hit a single and it's home run right away. But I learned everything. That was my business school. I learned how to cook. I learned how to manage people. I learned how to pay the bills. I learned to see the palette of New York City. So for me, be able to do that as a small partner, that was actually the luxury. I knew that his goal and my goals were not aligned. End of the day, he had a different background than mine. He was 20 years older than me. So in those places, you're in different goals, different places in life. But at the end of the day, I felt a lot of gratitude because at 26, that was not supposed to be the end destination. That was the handshake, the beginning to the journey. And I knew as a Black chef, as Ethiopian, I wanted to representation matters, right? And to do that through only a Swedish restaurant was hard to do with a Black narrative as well. So I needed a different platform, a different theater, a different restaurant. And that I was able to build at Red Rooster. And for me, it was very important to be able to express it and continue. And I've been fortunate enough to do that. And been many ups and downs, but I have a great family. I have a great wife that supported me through the journey. And I feel gratitude towards that.
Good. So with all gratitude, the money just pop up, or do you manage to raise from investors, etc.? So I was just doing a research about you, and you had, I think you saved it, or you managed to raise 1.5 million,
Mm-hmm.
but what you actually needed was 3 million.
Yeah.
So most entrepreneurs go through that. You always underestimate how much time and how much money you need. So how did you manage that challenge? Would be happy to.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough, and you had to learn how to raise money to bring in investors, which I did not go to Harvard Business School, right? So you had to learn how to navigate, and you have to learn. One of the biggest thing you have to do when you're creative, learn how to collaborate. And you need a financial partner, you have to collaborate. You need other creative partner. You have to collaborate. Collaboration is a big part of successful people. Might not be talked about enough, but you have to collaborate. And compromise comes with collaborating, which is something that you think you don't want to do, but you have to do it at some point. And you have to listen, because your guest's going to tell you, in my case, or the artist, or whatever it is, they're going to tell you what they appreciate. You think this is the vision? And that's important, to have a vision, but you also have to adapt it, because what works in Addis might not work in New York City, might not work in Montreal or Bahamas. There's a core that will work, but then you have to adjust, both culturally and creatively.
How do you evaluate that, or how do you look into that to collaborate with people? That is, I think, one of a big skill. Like, you don't have to be expert of everything.
I think about what's the most important for me in this process, which is hold on to the creative on the food, which is to teach food. That's my core skill set. That's what I'm really good at, better than 99.9% of the population. That's my core skill set. That's my gift. Now, do I know how to do payroll? Sure, but I don't have to do it. So I'm interested in the creative process, and then flipping that to financial opportunity, right? That has to, without finance, it doesn't work. But are there better people at the finance side? Yes. Are there, I draw down how I want the design to look like, but a real architect with my input will do a better job, because he or she knows engineering and all the other challenges, right? So the key is to hold on to, and that's different for each person. What is the core and most important things that makes both work, and what am I willing to say yes to? What am I willing to say no? What I have to say no to? So holding on to the creative process, and then finding great people that are better than you in other fields. And that's not hard when you deal with a restaurant, because it evolves about, in our case, 200 people here in Addis that work, about 400 guests that comes on a daily basis. Everybody's opinionated, which is part of opening a restaurant. So you have to listen. The customer's going to tell us what the value proposition is. Is the food coming out on time? Is it delicious? Is it relevant? Is it too pricey? Can we charge more? How's our wine list? How do you bring in cocktail in a non-cocktail culture like Addis, which is basically more a brown liquor culture? But that's an opportunity for young people that has traveled to maybe someone like yourself that maybe want to have a cocktail bar. How do we do that? Those are all things that we talk about. I don't have the answer for it yet. In 2 months, I will, because I have data. Because I know both online, what people are telling us, word of mouth, and you got to collect that data. And based on that, you can then evolve it. Opening the restaurant is exciting and is part of a vision and a mission. Operating the restaurant is a different skill set. You need consistency. You need system that works. So it's a very pragmatic side. And that's what we're about to go into. We haven't gotten into that. So, if I will say the opening is the handshake, it's the celebration of everyone's work. How the restaurant will do, ask me in 6 months.
Okay, we will. We'll ask you in 6 months. You have cooked for a lot of famous people, head of states, Obama and others. So
And you guys.
Yes, that's
You
true.
are very famous in Ethiopia. And you guys.
Like, so it was really. I don't have much of a taste for food, but can I saying
I love
really
it,
nice.
man. I love the fried chicken.
Yeah.
To me.
I mean, Kay knows he should host every night at the restaurant, because when I was in, your restaurant has many rooms.
Yeah.
Wherever I was looking, he was hosting one table over there. He was running the bar over there. He was checking on you guys. So for me, it's the ultimate host. So
You should hire me.
Oh, please, anytime. You are always welcome. But you need vibrant, and that makes me so happy. Every room I looked at, people were celebrating each other, different occasions, whether it was business, or whether it was young people just getting together, or whether it was a big birthday. And for me to look at a majority Ethiopian, some embassy and some other, but that for me is the dream. As Ethiopians, when we go to other restaurants abroad, you might think this, do I fit in? Do I have to wear a dress code? As Black people, we think about those things all over. In my establishment, you never have to think about those. Yes, you belong. Yes, there will be other people of color, and it will be open for everybody. And that dream, that level of doubt that we can now take away, that's our goal. I love that. You can monetize that. That's just a feeling.
When you're opening a restaurant or coffee shop, you get especially when you create a new wave or something new, you might face a negative or positive feedback. Or how do you process that? I'm sure you'll see a lot of, specifically on the just restaurant performance, food and things like that. How do you able to process that into operation, and how do you able to look into these feedbacks?
I'll tell you a story. I moved to Harlem after a couple of years in New York. And I go even back to the week before 9/11, I cooked in the tower of World Trade Center. And I knew a lot of people that lost their life. Innocent, just incredible New Yorkers. Working people in the restaurant there. It was a restaurant on top of the building, similar to ours. And I was really struggling, dealing with, should I just go back to Sweden? It's a comfortable country. I can create my own. And my mom said, absolutely not. This is not the time when you leave. You don't leave New York at this moment. And I needed to hear that. She said, you have to find a place in New York where you find happiness. You always talk about Harlem. Why don't you move to Harlem? And I followed her advice. I moved to Harlem. Once I came to Harlem, everyone was like, are you going to open a restaurant? Are you going to open a restaurant? And the first 2-3 years, I was just observing. Although Harlem is in Manhattan, in New York City, it's a very different part of downtown. Everything operated very different. And I love that. The good cornbread was not found in a restaurant. It was found in an after-church program. The good jerk chicken was not found in a restaurant. It was found in the park. The good music wasn't, you had to knock on the basement and then maybe you got let in and you were invited to an incredible set that only you and your crew knew about. So this kind of hide and seek, this operating underground, I just felt like, this is amazing. So I started just to study the culture. We're Black people, but I'm not from Harlem. So I had to learn about what's the story, what's the journey, what does it mean about the Great Migration in America? What did it bring? Blues music that eventually became R&B, that eventually became hip hop, right? That journey I learned, Harlem taught me. So when I opened Red Rooster, 7 years later, I've collected this data, real data, not Google, real lived data. And that's why Red Rooster became a hit, because the Harlemites said to me, wow, you've done the homework. We've seen you study. You've done the pop-ups. You've done the test. And I have to go back to that's the hunger game. That's the immigrant in me. And that's why Red Rooster worked, because the Harlemites said, check the box. You've done your homework. So we're going to support you. And culturally, I knew then, okay, Sunday, there will be gospel in the restaurant. Friday and Saturday, there will be young R&B. Like the programming, the culture was also set because of the day of the week. So that comes by studying, by being in the community and of the community. For someone like me that was not born there, I knew I could be in the community, but how do I become of the community? Through the staff. So we hired locally, and the staff told me that was what was right or wrong, right? I didn't grow up with fried chicken. A lot of they did. So they told me, no, this is wrong. And you have to listen. So the chef table was turned. So for me, this is how I learned. And I know this is the type of restaurant that I enjoyed to be part of. And we built it. And we never knew that it would be that successful. And so I think learning how to become relatable in your own town, when you enter with humility and willing to do the work. I'm entering with humility to Ethiopia, to Addis. You know more about Addis than I do. So I have to listen. Maya and I, we have to what are the comments? What is the feedback? And we have to respect that and then push forward. The first version of this is we are working, we're putting it together, we're doing our best, we're extremely proud. And then how we tweak it, that's about us. Are we listening? Are we hearing what you're saying? So when people give you feedback, it sounds like someone is negative, maybe, but that actually means that they love you. Because anyone that sits down and gives you a comment, whatever the comment is, that means that they took time out to do it. It's very hard to read negative feedback, but you have to if you're committed to the overall progress of the place. And we're committed. So this is going to be a boxing match back and forth, no doubt. But we're ready for the challenge.
You operated now for a few weeks, right, for soft opening. How's the feedback like?
Well, I'm extremely proud of the team because I would say the average age on the staff is maybe 23, 24. So very young staff, but a reflection of Addis, it's a very young city. Not the city itself, but the population. And I learned a lot from the staff. The staff has been incredible. And of course, it's a back and forth, but we're committed. And they have my back, I have their back. When they make mistake, when I make mistake, when I don't understand, it's okay. And we have a great team. Hired to provide an incredible team, and we have lots of room to improve. We acknowledge that, but that is the work, right? It's not about being famous, cutting a ribbon, and ciao. It's about doing the work, and in the work, you're going to find how to improve the restaurant. In my case, but any product, right? Why are you guys even doing coffee tasting at this point? Because you want to get better. Because the palate of the person has changed, right? You guys know how to make coffee. You could have done the same as you did 10, 20 years ago. But somewhere inside, you guys know the palate has moved on.
It's evolving.
It's evolving, exactly. And if you're in business, you have to evolve. If you're not, do something else.
I might not be a food guy, but I admire your entrepreneurial journey, putting Ethiopian excellence, to the world, and being the greatest chef. So, coming to my question, when did you feel like you make it?
I feel like I make it when I'm around my family. I say that because I did not know how, as a creative, how I can have a family and work in creative at the same time. I didn't know that was something I just didn't know how to do it, because I knew I was committed to work all day, every day. So how do you do it? I always admired my chef friends that had both family and were great chefs. And it sounds very basic to someone else maybe, but not to me. And when you're devoted to something, it's very hard to figure out that balance. So I feel success based on when I left here, we said to Zion, our son, we would leave. And I said, what do you want back? He said, I want a toy made by an Ethiopian kid, right? And I thought that was so nice because it means that he connects on his 7-year level with another Ethiopian kid. And it means that the conversation we have about his cousins and grandparents is working. He's very clear where Addis is, where Ethiopia is, where Gurage and so on is, right? He's been to these places. And I felt like we made it then, at that moment. Our daughter's name is Great Ethiopia, So we always want to have it part of our journey. I think as a chef, it's always room to improve. So I know I have a lot of experience. I know I'm very passionate about how to evolve and get better, but I don't think there's a there, I don't think there's an end destination. I feel blessed that I take care of my health. I work out, make sure I walk or run, so I can do it for food. So making it is, for me, still having the passion to work. It's not a monetary decision. It's being committed, devoted to your craft. I don't think the great musicians that I admire, I don't think Stevie, I don't think Prince, I don't think there's ever okay, let me put the instrument down. No. Or great painters that I admire, they continue to evolve and share their story.
Greatness requires some level of sacrification, right? Like I would understand when you say you're so obsessed with work, you might not know how to balance with family or a friend, etc., or take care of yourself, which could be not relatable for many people who are doing in a certain areas. So I would like if you can share with us. First is when was the switching moment? What was the alarm for you? Oh, I have to balance. And second is you can't also balance everything, right? Greatness requires some level of sacrification. It's is the sacrifice worth of it or not? It's mostly the question. It could be in any field. So,
no, I think my wife is the one that brought that. I don't think I had a language for that balance before Maya, and she really brought that structure. So I am the fourth best Ethiopian cook in my family, but she's definitely the one that connects all the dots when it comes to the family. And I'm extremely I have a lot of love and great gratitude to everything that she contributed to, not just to me, but to the family and the kids, but also our extended family. When I say families, we have an extended family with the people that we work with, So it's being an entrepreneur in New York, having ambitions the way I have, and want to have a global business. Yeah, it comes with sacrifice. And I do not know still good to balance that. I wake up every day with intent to go to work. And then Maya tells, well, we have to do this one, this and that. I'm like, how are we going to do that? Well, this is how we're going to do it. And we'll figure it out. And you compromise and you collaborate. And I always measure that against my craft. So sometimes I get I just shut down and I just go and cook because that's where I feel like I really have to develop and I can develop. And the fact that you have to understand that for me, this is such an incredible challenge to learn my food language in Ethiopia about something that was in me and then I didn't experience. My taste memory, if I had taste memory of Swedish crisp bread, you had taste memory of injera. If you ate shiro, I ate mashed potatoes. If you ate torowat, I had Swedish meatballs, right? So our taste memories are very different. And at 20 or so, I had to make up all that time, right? And what you experience at 6, 7, or 8, you can't re-experience. So I'm learning. I love being a student of this. But again, that traditional Ethiopian cooking we do at home. I watch her mother, I watch her sisters, and I study. But the food we do in the restaurant is around entertainment and fine dining and destination, right? So we are inspired by the place, but that's why the word Addis is important. It's new. It's modern. So our goal, I can never take that place of traditionalism because it's not where I came from. But I can be proud when, I love when America learns new word in Amharic, like what is berbere? And I love to talk about it. What is injera? I love to talk about it because it means they're learning and seeing our culture,
What do you advise for upcoming chef in Ethiopia? I'm sure there would be a lot of audience that might own a restaurant.
Yeah, have a dream and then multiply it. And within the dream big. But also then go to a friend, a colleague, a mentor to say, what's my path? How do we build this? What's my path to actually get there? Because without the path, it's just a dream. Take time. Think about your dream. It's not strange. Your dream belongs to you. And then you go to your community and figure out how can we, as a collective, what's my path? Do I have to go back to school? Do you know someone in this field? Do I have to go abroad? Do I have to move to Addis? Whatever the path is for each person, because they're very different. And then go out and give it a shot. And then once you've done that, go back and tell the person that guided you through that, thank you, and I love you.
Sounds like simple.
No, simple is not part of that equation. But
Okay.
he asked specifically,
Yeah.
what is a guide and advice? That's,
Okay.
you know, these guys are into technology and producing.
Yeah.
So maybe their goal is to do a video game. I don't know, whatever. That each one is different. And it's not my role to tell them what their dream is. I
True.
can give you a little bit of roadmap on
Yeah.
here's the path, right?
Yeah. Their dream is to work for us forever. Okay. Actually, most of them, they run their own business. They're just hobbyists here.
I'm sure.
And
Sure.
they're excited to see you as well.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to meet them. And, that's been the biggest blessings for me, to meeting young professionals through the restaurant. Different fields, different questions, but just ambition. What does it look like today? I'll go back to New York and that's going to be one of the biggest things I'm going to talk about, because that inspires me. Nothing beats being in it. I remember a long time ago, my father gave me an article about frugal, blowfish, the fish that if you chef prepares wrong, you can die. And I put it up next to my Michael Jackson poster.
I'm shocked now.
I'm like, how is this possible? You can eat the fish and you can die right away if chef prepares wrong. I was in awe. It was like Bob Marley, Prince, Michael, and blowfish on my wall. And he said, I have a friend in Japan. You can stay where you should go to Japan. And it cost a lot of money. So I had to save for a ticket. It took me a year. My parents bought me one way and then I had to do the rest myself. So fair deal, I had to work. And once I came to Japan, it wasn't just going to the restaurant to eat. I learned everything about my interest for Japan. Staying with the family. What's different taste? What do people look like? Everything, right? In my 17-year-old mind, blew my mind. This is amazing. And here's the point. If this would be today, that same dialogue can happen between a father and son. But today the son, the person, would go to YouTube and Google blowfish. And informative, they probably get better information, pure direct data. But experientially, they're missing out. The journey and going to Japan. So the key is the balance between technology cannot hinder you because nothing beats do, right? I was there. I was experiencing. I was struggling. There was no internet. I had to figure out how to get on the subway in Japan. For many people, they saw a black person for the first time. I could work in the kitchen. There was so many things I can tell you.
When was that?
It was a long time ago. But I'm just telling you that. So don't let technology be the stuff that stop you. Allow it to be the one that evokes your interest. But then nothing beats the last 5 yards. You got to do it, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
Did you end up cooking that fish?
No, because I don't have the license for it, and it's respect. And blowfish is only through a season from October to January. But it evoked my interest. It is the reason why I can sit here today and talk to you about food, because something lit up to me. It's like, this is incredible. I went, and without going, I don't think I would have gotten it.
I had an octopus in Korea the other time and put it on Instagram. People thought I was crazy. The one, like the chop it up, the octopus.
Yeah, pulpo, yeah. Octopus,
the ones moving. People thought I was crazy. And I always think and my clients come to Ethiopia and they think people are crazy. The same people that eat octopus moving, they think people are crazy that eats raw meat. And I feel like food is all about culture. And for me, I'm willing to try anything and be open-minded about food.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It breaking bread, truly breaking bread, gets everybody to the table. Like you said, tradition is different, taste is different. but it's not anyone's job to say what food is weird, because what's normal in one country is very abnormal somewhere else. And you are doing it the right way. You're curious. You're figuring it out. You're gonna have a preference what you like, but you
Yeah, I define like what actually my taste is, not just relating it to like this is what I've been eating. If it is out of that parameter, I'm not eating. So I think it's really fun. And seeing people reaction is also very fun. What would you want to see the outcome?
we're living that experience. So I have goals, which means young chefs coming to the United States from the restaurant, learning, interacting with American chefs, doing pop-ups throughout the world, coming back to Ethiopia, being part of another amazing project, right? So it only works when Ethiopia shows up. This is a restaurant that belongs to all of us. It's a place that is an experience. Going up the elevator is an experience. Walking around, watching the design. But it's also a learning center for the young staff. You are contributing to something that allows them to learn more, whether it's speaking in English in front of a new customer for the first time, whether it's cooking a dish that I cooked at the state dinner. So we all have responsibilities in this journey, and we can do it together. So for me, it's a project that when you truly, I feel a little bit like an Ethiopian Olympic runner that has hauled a nation with them. And I want to finish like Haile on top, number one, and make the country proud. And it's a long journey. We're not there yet. The first part of that journey was making the team, was opening the restaurant. Now the next part of the journey, we have to work hard on all the aspects, the training and giving the next generation of Ethiopians an opportunity to learn and push tourism of Ethiopia throughout the world and have people experience it. That's part of the goal. That's not just my goal. That is good for everyone in Ethiopia because it creates jobs. The job creation piece is not small. That's super important. If you take away what your family has created, it could have been coffee, it could be something else. But for the worker who works there, it's a job. It's stability. It's something that they can see their value through. So you can never forget hospitality creates jobs. Today when I went to school, one of the students stood up and said, I need a job. She's very direct. And I loved that honesty. And I said, well, we're here to create that process. What is a job interview? The first part we talked about, how do you interview? Because they're wonderful young students, but they're also shy and not comfortable maybe doing an interview in English. So that you can look down. This is what a job interview. You know these things. But for a young student that have a different background, maybe come from the countryside or different, doesn't know what a job interview is in English. So those are things that the restaurant provides, right? Rubbing shoulders with foreigners, getting confidence, failing, succeeding. So it's not just one thing. It's not transactional. Maya and I are not here to do a transaction. We're here to share. And it's going to have many interactions.
So what would the program would be like? How would you pick the chefs to take them to do exchange program?
Who wants in? Who has the right combination between hunger, wants to, desire, and are passionate about cooking, and can follow that path, So I don't know yet. We have to see. And there's so much about the restaurant I don't know, but that's also what makes it exciting. When I'm back in January, we have 6 weeks of data. I'm not ready to say who we are and what we are, but we're building the culture and we're becoming. And how it's exciting. I've cooked half my life that I still can endeavor a new project in my home country. If you can do that, you're living. You're truly living. And you should be very grateful, and I am.
Yeah, I saw a lot of different kind of foods on the menu. For me, we ate on the other side of the room, so I didn't get a chance to see. But when I was with people out there, I saw different local food from abroad. So what is the inspiration behind developing the recipe?
I think it's really a combination between Marcus Addis is a destination restaurant. It's a great experience restaurant. So we are rooted in some Ethiopian traditional ingredients. Like I said, berbere, injera. We use these pillars. We use kebe. We used pillars of Ethiopian cooking we all share. But then we present it through truly a culinary vision that fits the building and fits the audience. People are not there to eat traditional food. They are to dine and have an experience that truly matches the 47th building. Looking at the Science Museum. The Science Museum say, hey, we're moving forward as a nation. The palace that's being renovated says, here's our past, but we're moving forward. So the food has to match that respect for the past, being in the present, but also moving forward. So it's all of that. And that's my job, to curate that, to teach that, and creating that language that this is modern. We're moving forward. And that's where the keyword Addis comes in.
Great. So talking about talent, like how do you manage talent? We all, when you run business, we all run business. You hire people, you fire people. When you hire people, you're picking one person out of a lot of people. So you have an eye for talent. So like how was your management style, and what does your hiring and also, promoting, not promoting work?
Yeah, I mean, hire number one person, a chef, has to be a package. Talent is important, but also is she or he willing to collaborate? Are they going to be listening to understand the totality of their role? So it's a package. Hiring a mid-level or an entry-level position is actually easier because you can take a risk, because this person you're going to see is she or he willing to understand what we're doing as a team. And 6 months, a year into the journey, you can see. So hiring top positions is very hard, and no one has a 100% record. And that's where you have to step back and be like, this person is super talented, but not a right fit for us. And it's okay to share that. And that person's going to be fine because opportunities are out there. But there's a trial and error on that. And I don't have a 100% record. There's lots of room to improve.
What's a no-no for you? I wouldn't hire this person.
I mean, I don't really deal with that because we are here. This is what we're doing. You're welcome in to join this journey. If you're not interested, well, we're not going to be a fit. So it's pretty clear set up. This is what we're doing. And I welcome you into this journey. So you have to have enough arrogance and belief in yourself. This is on this shoulder what we're doing. And you have to have enough humility on this shoulder to do the work and inspire people to do the work. So these two constantly have to talk to one another. If you don't have this, you don't have the vision. And if you don't have this, you're not going to have the result. So you need both.
How is your day like? You own multiple restaurants. So do you go into the restaurant, cook?
My day is it's exciting. It's a balance of everything. I have to spend time in the kitchen because it's a craft that I have to both continue to work on and get better. And I have to balance running the business, being with my family, setting goals and standards, inspiring the team, and working on my craft. So that's my recipe of what my day looks like. And different days, sometimes I travel, but I make sure that for my health, that I'll make sure I work out, for example. I read a lot on planes, because that's when I have the most time being by myself. So I can't afford on the plane just to sleep. So if I'm on a plane, I'm writing food. So I always divide time to write food. So I'm devoting to my craft, even if it's a 4-hour flight. I always make sure I write for 1 hour. So everybody does it differently, but that works for me. And everybody do it how they work for them. But I have to be around food. Even if I go to the mercato and just touch pumpkins, I have to be around it. I have to understand what is this pumpkin? How is this different? We were driving on the countryside. We stopped and watched majority women selling pumpkins on the side. And I'm like, okay, how is this pumpkin different? You know? So I need to be around it, just like a musician needs to be around her music, her instrument, her voice, and work on it. Respect it. Respect the gift that you have. This is my gift.
My final question is, if you can restart again, like if you can make a call to Marcus at like 17 years old Marcus, who was struggling, trying to find his way into life, what would you advise him differently?
To stop and enjoy the journey more. I have enjoyed so many things in life. I've met so many incredible people that impacted it, and I would like to go back and thank them personally, because without their reprimanding or hug or whatever I needed at that moment, I wouldn't be here sitting with you. And I am a representative of the tribe of cooking, of the tribe of creative, and I wouldn't be here without so many people chipping in and rooting for me, and enjoying that. When you come as an immigrant or you come with limited background in terms of finance, you are so rushed to get where you need to go, so you can't stop. And I just wish I took a little bit more time to enjoy, smell the roses, enjoy that moment. And I've enjoyed this moment to get to know you guys, and I appreciate it. And thank you for all the work. And I see you at Marcus Addis.
Sure. That's why you're more chill now. Because when I see you at the restaurant, you're so chill. So it is something I'm quite intense. Canada is more chill. And I just thought I might learn.
But it's also, I'm in your world, right? This is something we do, so I feel comfortable here. And I also love the fact that you guys are exactly, you collaborating on something, you're giving voice to something that is need for, and you are inspiring people that you're not going to meet, because you have listeners that have not met you, not going to meet you. Well, congratulations to the two of you coming together and collaborating and sharing, business stories and creative stories, because it's a clearly need for those voices. And for me, this is an inspirational platform. And you guys are privileged. You live in Addis. But the good thing with the podcast is that you can live anywhere and get this information. So you don't know who you're inspiring outside Addis that don't have the same access. So this is very, very good that you're connecting. So congratulations, and continue to do great work. Continue to push.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marcus. We wish you a good luck with the new restaurant in Addis. We wish you a big success. You have done an amazing job. And thank you for coming to Meri Podcast. We appreciate it. ይህ የመሪ ፖድካስት የዛሬ ሾው ነው። በጣም እናመሰግናለን ስለተከታተላችሁ።